I must hit the button.
Right.
And how are you out there in podcast land? It's Brendan Cunningham here, the real estate doctor at EXP, together with Matt Paul. He does it all. And we're going to continue where we left off last time, talking about who's who in the real estate transaction. Last time we talked about the brokers, associate brokers, salespeople, who they are, what's in a name, all that kind of stuff. Yep. But what we didn't mention about the differences between agents was, and this is a major shame on me, which is, see this pin? We're actually realtors as well, which is, oddly enough, it's the name of the show. Wow, it's the Real Realtors, because not every agent is a realtor.
Yep.
Did you know that?
Yes, I did. Yes.
In fact, my first 5 years in the business, I was not a realtor. I was selling real estate in New York City and beautiful downtown Brooklyn and Lower Manhattan. And frankly, they didn't have multiple listing services. There wasn't a reason to necessarily become a realtor, because most people become realtors because they need access to a multiple listing service. Now, it's different in Western New York. We are members of a multiple listing service in the Buffalo Niagara Association of Realtors, and because our broker is a member of the association, we are all realtors. But what's the difference between a realtor and just a regular agent?
Well, they don't have to follow the MLS rules.
True.
Right. So there's a lot of guidelines and rules that we have to follow through the local board and the national and state level. They don't have to pay the fees, and the dues are different. So I did a deal when I was really real fresh in the business, a couple of years in, and the person that I was working with wasn't a member of the board. Didn't, the compensation was real interesting, and how we had to work that out, and I had to get my manager involved in order to get that transaction to close, because they were not a member of the association where we were.
Yeah, and the thing is, we get a lot of benefits by being, as agents, we get benefits by being members of the association. And that in our Buffalo Niagara Association, we get free education from them. And education is expensive and frequently painful, as the expression goes. But we do get, that's one of the perks that we get from a local association. But then we also have with the National Association, which is, I think, 1,500,000 people right now, 1,300,000 maybe. They have education, and they have different designations that they offer. I've got a number of different designations from them. Did you get the buyer's designation?
No.
Okay.
No, I have a commercial sales expert designation.
Okay. Because you do different things than I do. So I might defer to you in those transactions. But yeah, I have at home with diversity designation. I have senior residential specialist, military designation. So I have more expertise in other areas. And of course, the biggest thing is the ethical standard that we all ascribe to. In fact, it's part of our presentation. It's like first page of our presentation. We are members of the associate, and these are the things that we do.
Code of ethics.
Yep,
it's huge,
and it's ensconced. And I'm not one of the guys that quotes the Bible chapter and verse, but I know what it says. And our biggest partner, Joel Husfar, who brought us to EXP, he actually can quote chapter and verse. Even though he's a young guy, you would think that you would need years to learn, but he doesn't. But, so it's a good thing, I think, being a realtor in general.
So, and like you're getting back to all the designations, the board offers those classes. The board offers
some of them they do.
Yes.
And then they have special designations. I picked up a designation that only they offer, and that's a residential specialist. Now, there's a certified residential specialist that the Association of Realtors has as a designation, and you get that after you get the what's the other one?
The first one.
The GRI. Okay.
Yep.
Which my friend Tom Cusack always refers to as, well, is it the upper GRI or is it the lower GRI? It stands for the Graduate of the Real Estate Institute. It's like 5 or 6 courses, and that allows you to take it. So there's a lot of education that happens.
Absolutely.
Hopefully with your agent. You want somebody that's good. And and hopefully education makes them better.
And what is also good, you're a teacher at the board. So
I am. I'm on the faculty at the association, as is Lori Adams. She was just named president-elect of the association, and she's a past associate realtor of the year, as am I. And she's pretty good.
And it's good to have the teachers actually practitioners and
working
in the field.
Yeah. And contrary to what they say, those that cannot do teach. I still do.
Yeah.
Okay.
And teach.
I don't do as much as I used to, but I still do, and I have a very concentrated book of business. But having said that, I came across something this morning that I thought was worth sharing because I thought it was interesting. Fastest segment of the population, where are they moving to?
The opposite of what I thought.
It's the opposite of what you thought because you're using experiential information as opposed to statistics. Both are correct. They're both snapshots, but you're taking a snapshot of that side of the field, and they're taking a snapshot of this side. But what they said was, year over year, 16.1% of the American population are moving to cities. Are you in a city? Are you in a city?
Yep.
You're in a city? What city are you in?
I'm in North Buffalo.
Oh, you are? That's right. That's right.
You're in South Buffalo.
And I'm in
we're
South
on the
Buffalo.
opposite ends.
And what's interesting about the city of Buffalo is there's North Buffalo, there's South, and they couldn't
East,
be more
West,
different. They couldn't be more different.
Nope.
You know,
Nope.
Culturally and everything.
everything.
I was disappointed when they didn't officially designate North Buffalo as Little Italy.
Yeah.
Because that's really like a Little Italy.
It sure is.
Much more so than the Little Italy in Manhattan, which is really, it's like half of a block. It's Ferraro's and one other coffee stand, I think. Now, you go to the Bronx, they have, what's the name of the street up there? But that actually is a Little Italy. Jefferson Avenue, something like that? I think
so.
So South Buffalo is where the Irish people are.
Yeah.
And North Buffalo is where the Italians. And since I'm half Irish and half Italian, I can spend time in either.
Yeah.
But,
Yep.
Yeah, so they're moving to cities. And why would that be?
Yeah, again, my clients and from my experience, I have more people moving from the city to rural areas. But I think if you wanted to move from rural to the city, you're looking for more conveniences. You're looking for easier access to entertainment, shopping, interstates. Everything runs right
all
from
of that
around the city.
stuff. Yeah, and unfortunately, and this is where I think the city thing. And I've lived on a farm when I first moved up from New York City, where I'm from. I bought a 30-acre horse farm. I was like Little Joe on the Ponderosa. I've also lived in a townhouse, so I know about HOAs. I've lived in apartments. I've lived in single-family houses that were new, single-family houses that are old, and and now I'm back in a city. And I think for me personally, I'm most comfortable in a city. It's just my wiring. However, I could live anywhere. That I'm pretty flexible.
Well, how many people growing up in New York City did you know that couldn't live anywhere else or said that this is the only place for them?
90%.
Right?
And unfortunately, the worst part about that was 90%. Well, not 90%, but it's a very high percentage of the people in New York City can never buy.
Yeah.
They just
they're priced out.
They're priced out. They've been priced out for generations. And they don't even think of themselves as having a possibility. And that makes sense. If you're trying to buy a co-op and it's $1 million, I mean, unless you're selling cocaine, how do you do that?
Yeah.
As a first-time buyer? It's just, and I'm not endorsing selling cocaine. I've got some people out. Oh, you started to encourage it. No, not. But yeah, that's a harder market to break into.
Yep.
As opposed to here, the flip side in Buffalo, which is the hottest market in America, according to Zillow, as we know.
Yep.
You can. Now, I know people are saying, well, it's really expensive. It's much more expensive than it used to be.
Yeah.
We can't disguise that. We're not going to lie to you. But it's still easier here and possible here, where in other places it's not. It just isn't.
Yep. So that could be another reason, affordability. If you are going from a larger property with acreage and a large house and you wanted to downsize and move into the city, most likely you're gonna do all right because the values in the city are relatively affordable.
Relatively affordable is right, yeah. And of course, the further away from the city you go, there's pockets obviously. Generally speaking, the prices get lower and lower and lower.
Mm-hmm.
And once you get an hour outside of this city, prices are really low because you're into. Rural America.
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
mean, you got cows everywhere.
Not dirt roads, but rural.
No, but what's nice is you can get to civilization. It's not like you're in Kansas someplace where you could drive for hours before you get to a major city.
Yeah, no.
So I thought that was interesting. And again, when I say it's a good thing and a bad thing, the problem is you're too young to remember Pete Seeger, but he was a guy that was with Bob Dylan in those days.
Okay.
He was a contemporary, and he was a major tree-hugging liberal
Musician.
person, and I don't mean that in a bad way, but he had a song, "We'll all be a Dublin, Dublin, Dublin. We'll all be a Dublin" in 32 years because he wrote it in 1968. Sure enough, at the time, the population of the Earth was 3.2 million. Now it's closer to 8.
Wow.
So we did double.
Yep.
He was right, absolutely right. But unfortunately, his prediction was that the world would come to an end when that happened. The world did not come to an end. And what I find interesting is, like, when I drive from here to New York, and that 5.5-hour drive, because I drive fast, I got nothing but vacant land.
Yeah.
On both sides of the highway for hours. And if you look at the map of the world, Bangladesh, most people cannot find on the map. It's this big. It's like microscopic. It's so small.
Right.
There are more people living in Bangladesh, in the major city of Bangladesh, which I can't even tell you what it is, than in all of the Russias.
Really?
Which goes from Vladivostok to St. Petersburg. That's massive. It's this little speck versus that. And it's because everyone wants to live in a city. Tokyo, 22 million, 25 million. I think it's crazy.
Yeah,
I mean,
China's the same too.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's not major cities. And oddly enough, the whole thing about cities, the meaning of the word civilization is the ability to build cities. So it seems like everyone wants to be kind of close to a city. Not necessarily a good thing or a bad thing, but it's an is thing.
Yeah, the statistics obviously show
And the
that.
statistics show that. However, we have forces at bay here where we can now have remote jobs. Now, I know they're trying to change that a little and get people back to work, but you know what? That genie's out of the bottle. There will always be people that want to or will insist on having some sort of job where they can work remotely.
Yep, at least part of the time. I agree.
And
Absolutely.
you know what? I cannot think of a better place to live for that scenario than Western New York.
Absolutely.
In fact, we have a lady that lives way out in we call it East Kahunga, East Cupcake, whatever. It's easy, an hour and 15 minutes from downtown Buffalo. Does very well for herself.
Yeah.
Does this, does a lot of what we're doing here, does a lot of things online, and she can do a lot of her business remotely. One of the blessings in the real estate business is agents can do a lot of work remotely now that they weren't able to do years ago.
Due to all the tools that we have.
We have at EXP. We have every tool. Imagine we have so many tools. I mean, I'm still trying to figure them out. Frankly.
Yep.
But yeah, so changing times, changing dynamics, changing demographics. It won't all be good, but most of it, I think, in the long run, will be good.
Yeah.
You know,
Yep. I'm confident.
I'm confident. I'm optimistic, and I just heard today that the interest rates got lowered to the lowest rate in the this year.
Okay.
Since January 1, they're at the lowest that they've been, but they're still just under that 7 mark.
Yep.
6.8 or something like that.
Yep.
The interest rate is interesting. It's just interesting information. It's not. It shouldn't stop you from buying a house. Well, I can't. Hey, you know what? Figure it out. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, the prices are going this way, and the interest rates. I mean, you just got to get on the train.
Yep. Absolutely.
Because otherwise, you're going to be like those poor people in New York City that will never be able to buy.
Yeah.
You know, and I know if you're in New York, you say, "Well, I can do it." God bless you.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, and when I tell the story with me, and they say, "Well, it was different years ago." It was just as hard for me years ago. In fact, in many respects, the market when I got in with the interest rates at 14.5%, it was the same conditions that we have today. It's just different parameters. It was still almost impossible to buy at 14.5. It's impossible to buy.
What was for your first purchase out there? How much did that cost?
It was a $65,000 house.
Okay.
But it was at 14.5% interest.
Yeah. Wow.
You know, so you start doing the math. If you're we have a lot of guys that are locked in at like 2 and 3.
Yep.
Multiply your payment now times 7.
Yeah. Right.
You know, whoa! I don't care what the price was. If I multiply by 7 or 6, it's going to be changing dramatically. So my payments were essentially the same as what they would have been today with the change in the salaries and the prices. So it was just as hard then. And there were fewer agents in the business back then because it was so hard. You know, and we're seeing some agents leave the business today.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Not a surprise. And part of it is because there was a certain laziness that I think got fostered in our business in the last couple of years, where you could kind of just put the sign on the ground and it would I don't want to say sell itself, but you didn't have to scramble as much to find a buyer.
Absolutely. Yeah.
You got to scramble a little bit today.
Yep.
And the biggest value I think that the listing agent has is is how to sort out the multiple offers.
Yeah.
And not leave money on the table.
Absolutely.
Because that could happen.
Yep.
We don't want to do that. So we talked about some of the other players in the business, and
We talked about the lenders, loan officers, underwriters, processors.
what does the appraiser do that the home inspector doesn't do?
Oh, great.
Why do
Great question.
why do I need both?
Well, the home
What's
inspector.
that all about?
And why does the home inspection cost what it does, and the appraisal cost what it does, right? And typically, from my experience, an appraisal, it can be 15 to 20 minutes, where a home inspection is multiple hours, depending on the size of the property. And the home inspector is going to go in and really dig in. They're going to go on the roof. They're going to crawl in the attic. They're going to take the faceplate off of the electrical box and see if there's double tap breakers. They're going to test for mold. They're going to test the outlets to make sure that they're grounded.
The appraiser's not going to do that?
No. Appraiser's going to come in. They're going to do visual checks for peeling paint, electrical line, just a few things that they're going to look at and flag if it's if they're not up to current code, or if it needs repair.
Yeah. Here's the big difference in 25 words or less. The appraiser's there to estimate value, and the home inspector is there to recognize condition. And neither of these guys are pass-fail. Value is, it's worth $250 to $300 or whatever his number is going to be. He's going to come up with an actual number. But the home inspector, he's just saying, well, this is the condition of the roof, and this is what you need to know about 5 years down the road for deferred maintenance. You want to buy it? Okay, then buy it. You don't want to buy it? Then don't buy it. I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah, third party, non-biased, both appraisers and inspectors.
But because costs have gone up, I mean, between those two guys, you get probably close to $1,000 right there.
At least, yeah. Most home inspections that I've because they started coming back around, they're $400 to $500.
And then it used to be $175 too, but everything's gone up. Bread, eggs, they've gone up, and then the cost of the appraiser has gone up. I would debate how long they're in the house, because most of the appraisers, I know, 3 minutes, bing, bang, boom,
20
out
was
the door.
generous.
Stop. You're being a sweetheart.
Yeah.
But they do different things. Now, sometimes there's a little bit of a crossover in that the appraiser may cite some things and say, well, you need to get this fixed.
Yeah. Getting back to when you were talking about being a VA, you deal with veterans.
Or VA or FHA appraiser, they're going to look at the house a little bit differently for their client. And they will flag things. And I mean, some of them we just know. We know them before, like example. If you don't have a handrail going down into your basement, they're going to flag that.
Yeah, yep.
Okay.
Or on any staircase.
Staircase.
Yeah, you need to have at least one handrail on.
It's a safety thing.
Yep.
And part of the reason, especially in the basement, is this way the appraiser can prove he was in the house. Because otherwise, how would you know there was one? There wasn't one in
the going to the basement.
You can't guess that. So they'll flag things like that, and typically they don't really care who fixes it, but they want them fixed before closing.
And they will, and they'll come back out and do another inspection, or you'll have to prove it with pictures.
I had one guy come out 3 times. I said, oh man, you're killing me here.
Yep. And they won't close, or they won't, close on the loan or approve the loan to be closed unless those issues have been addressed.
Yeah, I had one guy come out, and I mean, they were a nice enough person, but by the third time I wanted to shoot them. They wanted to put a handrail going up into the attic. Okay, fine. We put the handrail up, and then she came back and she said, okay, now I need you to do another. I said, no, why didn't you tell me that before?
Yeah, when it was all getting done.
She wanted like a fancy banister. I said, this attic looked like the Hanging Gardens of Babylon by the time we got finished. and after the third time, I said, we're not doing anything else.
Yeah, come on,
man.
Yeah.
You want the fancy spindles here? Come on, you're killing me. But they insisted, and that's what it was. So,
yep.
And that's why sometimes, especially in multiple offers, you'll see somebody, they'll turn down an offer, even if it's more money, because they'll see FHA or VA, because they don't want to go through the extra hurdle of having the appraiser come back and flag things.
Absolutely.
It's not because they're trying to be not nice to veterans.
No.
So in our zeal to give you the real story, we want to sort of give you some of the ins and outs and the subtleties of the whole thing. And being a realtor is I think it's a good thing. And I've been a realtor now, 35 years, I think.
In 10 years, and it's been every day's different, right? It's a really unique and fun career, and the challenge
for some people, it's not necessarily a good career for everybody.
Nope.
And you do need to have thick skin,
Yes.
You got to have real thick skin, and
Be a good people person.
You
too.
got, yeah.
Sometimes
I think
you're a social worker.
I think you got to be a bit of a people person, and if you're too accommodating, that can work against you because people will run you ragged.
Oh yeah, or run you over.
No, or run you over. Yeah.
Yep.
So those are kind of some of our little tidbits we wanted to share with you today. Who's who, and we're going to get on to some other things we have. We're going to be having an inspector coming in, I think, next week, and he's going to talk about some of the things that they do. And I think it's an important part of the process, and it has a definite place in the transaction. Should it be in every transaction? Maybe. I don't know, but we'll talk about that too. You can wrap it up for us.
Thank you for tuning in. Follow, like, and subscribe, and feel free to comment or ask us any questions, and we'll be happy to follow up and answer them on the next podcast.
And you can always ask us a question if it's a question that deserves airtime. We will certainly make sure that we respond and say, listen, we have Joe from Minnesota who says, you two guys, I hate you, but you brought up this thing about so-and-so, and I want to know more about that. So we can give you the real answer. Brendan Cunningham, the real estate doctor, saying, tune in next time. Thank you.
Perfect.